Here's everything we know about the National Guard shooter who was recruited as a child soldier to work in one of the most lethal and corrupt paramilitary units in Afghanistan alongside U.S. Special Forces. So, as a teenager, the shooter was recruited to a CIA backed Afghan paramilitary unit, a so called Zero Unit. These elite special forces, which included the Kandahar Strike Force, is something that the shooter served in for 8 years, and they were trained, equipped, and directed by the CIA and operated alongside U.S. Army Rangers. Now, human rights groups label these forces as death squads. Their activities included a long history of nighttime raids, summary executions of hundreds of people, the bombing of villages that left children's heads blown meters away from their bodies, and other atrocities committed with impunity. The shooter was a commander in this world. Now, when the U.S. finally withdrew from Afghanistan in 2021, the shooter and his family were among tens of thousands evacuated and resettled through Operation Allies Welcome. They started a new life in Bellingham, Washington. Now, years later, the shooter started to struggle with the weight of the atrocities committed with the blessings of the U.S. government. And according to the Associated Press, a community member started raising alarms and concerns as early as January 2024, warning that the shooter had become non-functional. His life was a cycle of deep depression and manic episodes. He would spend weeks isolated in a dark room, not speaking to his wife or children. Then he would suddenly take off on reckless cross-country drives, once going to Chicago and another time to Arizona, and he became suicidal and erratic and refused help from refugee organizations. And last week, he finally snapped and drove from Washington State to D.C., where he allegedly walked up to and shot two members of the West Virginia National Guard who were sent to occupy the city. One of the National Guard members was killed and the other was critically injured. The shooter is now facing a first-degree murder charge. And now, despite presenting no evidence, the Director of Homeland Security says he was radicalized in the United States because being a child soldier that participated in mass extrajudicial killings and torture of his own people surely has nothing to do with it. And now, instead of addressing this as a policy failure of the U.S. war machine, they set their sights on immigrants by banning asylum applications from dozens of countries. But knowing the journey of the shooter, many look at this as a reckoning of the U.S. war machine.